everybody, Bryson Michael RC here, and we got another Cosplay Thursday for you guys today. And this one's going to be a little bit different than normal. Like I said, we are taking over the Cosplay Thursdays from here on out, and every single one of them is going to be a build update for the Iron Man Mark 50 3D print. So today, we're going to show you guys the chest piece of the Mark 50, which is not finished. So this is all going to get a finished spraying towards the end. So what my plan is I'm going to do the chest, the abs and crotch area, then the upper back, the lower back, and then the butt. I'm going to do all that. I'm going to get it all smoothed and filler primer and stuff. And then while I'm working on the arm pieces, shoulder pieces, neck pieces, and the leg pieces and stuff, I'll probably go ahead and paint that because I want to get it done and finished. That way I can start putting it together and figuring out how it's going to be put together. So the first things that are going to be built are what I just mentioned: chest, abs, butt, lower back, upper back, and then we'll start working on the extension parts of it. So before we start this video, I just want to tell you guys, if anybody out there has a mannequin that you're not using, feel free to send it my way because I need a mannequin. I will put my mailing address in the description just on this one video. If you have a mannequin, send me one, and I would be most appreciated. Without further ado, here is the chest piece so far. So I'm going to just kind of show you from side, around, and then to the other side. And inside you can see that it's put together. It's put together with super glue and baking soda to make it really tough, and then I've went in here and I've done the soldering. I want this to make sure that this is not going to come apart. It's not going to crack or anything like that. This is going to be probably as tough as you can get it. You can see the different kinds of filament that I've had, and I've learned through this process actually, this green filament is crap. So the cheaper filaments cause cheaper builds, cheaper finishes and stuff like that. You can see and I show you guys later on in the video how thick these lines are here. And then I probably can't show you on the red all that well how thin the filament lines are right there. Huge difference in filler primer. And I'll show you, it's later on in the filament, or it's later on in the video. I go more into depth so you guys can really see the difference between this one's green here and this one's red here. And I used no body filler or anything like that, just filler primer over this area here and over this area here, and it shows just how bad the lines are here and how the lines still show on here. But only one layer of filler primer and one sanding, and the lines over on this filament over here are practically gone. It's going to take just one more layer of filler primer and it's gone. So less sanding, a lot less sanding. This is the first view that you guys can get. The back piece is getting worked on right now. This goes at the very top. So it's going to be chest, and then the upper back, and then it's going to be the lower back, and then the abdomen, then the butt. And then I'm going to start figuring out how to get this all put together while I start working on probably the neck piece. Probably make all the upper stuff all together. Probably do the neck piece and the shoulders, and then go down to the arms, and then start working the legs. The helmet is probably going to be the very last thing that I do, since I already have an Iron Man helmet. You guys have seen the build on that and stuff. So let me just show you one more thing, and then we're going to get into the video showing you guys. If you guys don't know how to do cosplay builds, if you guys aren't very good at Bondo or anything like that, make sure that you just follow along if you guys want to. And this will apply for basically any type of cosplay that you want to do. I show you in this video how to apply Bondo both ways, the way that I apply Bondo plus the way that most people apply Bondo. Kind of the different process of that. I kind of give you a few little helpful hints and stuff, and then I show you the wet sanding, and I show you guys a few other things within that, and kind of show you my whole, what I call the stitch technique for doing the plastic here. So all I want to do is show you guys one more thing, the fitting. So this is how it basically fits me. Goes around to the side. Now this is probably going to be more right here centered, so that we get enough room inside here for all the electronics and stuff. This part, like I say later on in the video, this part's going to be cut out and it's going to be replaced with Solotech Clear PLA to go in here, because Solotech Clear PLA is my favorite clear PLA. that just, you put LEDs behind it and it just soaks in the light, and it distributes the light so perfectly. There's not another clear PLA that I like more than Solotech PLA when it comes to putting in LEDs. So that's going to be here. It's also going to be right here, and there's a few parts in the back, the legs, and the arm that's going to be in. So this one fits perfectly. If you guys want me to put in any more of these process videos, how I slice it, how I anything that I do on the computer to do the sizing or anything like that, if you guys want me to show you that, I can add it in, you know, maybe next week's Cosplay Thursday or the week after that. But like I said, every Cosplay Thursday from here until this is done is going to be dedicated to the build of the Mach 50 Iron Man. So this is video number 1 of many. Let me do it quick. Here, maybe I can go right up here so you guys can see side to side. This thing's going to be awesome. Awesome. So, anyways, here we go. Without further ado, here's the rest of the video. Please stay and watch this whole thing, get some helpful tips and stuff. And as the videos go along, I'll be leaving more and more helpful tips as we go. And if you guys say, just leave me a comment if I left something out that you do want to know. If you want to if you want to see the process of me taking 2 pieces and gluing it together and doing the baking soda and stuff like that, I'll add that into the next one because I'm going to be doing that for the next year. I'm going to be doing every little step that I do every time, you know, in every video. So if you have any questions, just leave me a comment or something like that. But anyways, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and enjoy the rest of the video. We'll see you guys later. Have a good one. Here's the chest piece so far. Trying out this new Amazon Basics. I like this little got this little thing here on the side that you can read how much is left. So 800 grams all the way to 200 grams. And then over here on the side it says, you can't read it on here unfortunately, my camera's not one to adjust, but it says the color, which is Rosso, 1.75 millimeters. It tells you the heat to put it on, 190 to 220. And then it looks like El Spano. So while this part's printing, I've got to travel these next couple days. So I'm going to go ahead and get this part. I was going to wait for the whole thing to get done before doing any bondoing, but I'm going to go ahead and just get this large part here and this large part here. So what I usually do is just get a blob of this Bondo, this stuff right here, body filler, get a blob of it, and then get a line of the hardener. I'm not trying to advertise for Solotech 3D filament, but I like to use these boxes for my Bondo and stuff. It's just super smooth, and you can get a little thing and get it right off of there. Like as soon as it starts to set, you can get a little scraper and just kind of take it off, and it comes right off of this box. So utilize what you have in front of you. I'm not really going to use this that much. I don't like to use them all that much. I like to basically just use my hands, and especially for a small area like this, because I'll use a sanding block to even it up. And if you have a sanding block of some kind, it's easier. And I just use these real cheap, made out of PLA plastic forks or plastic spoons, whatever we have. Just gonna mix this in. If you don't know how to do Bondo, this will be a good, just quick crash course into Bondo. Just mix it, mix it, mix it until you get it one uniform color, or at least as uniform as you can. You can see the difference in color between this and that. And then you can take one of these, and I'm just going to show you this for video's sake. I don't like to do this, like I said. You can just kind of put it on. It goes on more even. And it's probably better for sanding if you do this, to be honest with you. Just don't ever do it. Because if you have a sanding block, you're going to get this sanded even anyways. And on props like this, I would suggest using a sanding block because sandpaper tends to just go at what's the softest. So I like to build it up real high and use a sanding block to kind of even it out. If you don't use a sanding block or a straight edge of some kind, then what will happen is it'll start going into, like if you're filling in a crack or something, it'll start going into that crack and pulling out the Bondo from it because it's softer. You know, you'll hit the PLA here where it's harder and be sanding here, but still be catching, you know, part of the crack or something like that, and your sandpaper is going to pick up the softer part more. So you need an even block so you can just go, and when it's sanded down, then your sandpaper's not touching it anymore. So now I'll show you how I do it. Just get some on a finger. And yes, you have to waste a lot of gloves doing it this way, but you get it down in there. What I had a problem with first when using Bondo is I didn't really know how to use it all that well, and I got a lot of air bubbles because I was just putting it on, you know, just basically putting it on and going. And what you need to do is get the Bondo down into it because there's air between the filament lines and cracks and stuff, and you're just setting the Bondo on top of it while you're just trapping that air on the inside. And so you need to, it's almost like whenever you make a mold and you do that beauty coat first, because you're getting down in every crack and crevice and stuff and pushing it down in. That's what you need to do when you're Bondoing 3D filament, is you need to push the Bondo down into it. And I'm gonna do this whole top part because I want it to be all even. So that's why I like to use my fingers more, so I can just come through here and push that Bondo down in, and I don't have to worry about that later. Now that that's like the beauty, you know, part, I'm going to come back over here with some more Bondo and go right over the top of that, because there's still some uneven places. You can see the higher parts here, and I don't know if that's higher because of the unevenness of the pieces. And so if I sand down, then that's still going to be high and this side's going to be low, so I'm going to come back with another layer of Bondo just right over the top of it, just to ensure an even level. And that's basically it. I'm probably not even going to use all of this. So I'll show you what I like about these boxes. Just take this, put my belly against this, so it's push down, scrape, and look, it's gone. It's all on here. That's what I love about these boxes. And with Bondo, it dries so quick. If you don't want to waste a whole bunch of it, just do a little bit at a time. It's a little bit more time consuming, but in the end it's worth it rather than wasting a whole bunch of Bondo. Also, before you start the Bondo process, I like to take and clean my parts. PLA has a problem with absorbing water. Like, it likes to absorb water, and so it may look dry on the outside, but then you go to paint it, you know, and stuff starts bubbling up on you. That's because the PLA soaked in the water and held it in the PLA, and then whenever you sprayed it, it started releasing that water out, you know, the evaporation of the water. So I used to deep scrub all of my parts, but it would take way too long to dry. On hot days, hot summer days, it's fine doing it in water because PLA dries really, it's got such a low melting point that it dries really fast in the heat. But if it's a cold day, the best thing to do is to take something like this. It's 99.9% alcohol. Use that to clean all the parts because it'll get a nice deep clean, but at the same time the alcohol evaporates really quick. Little tidbit of good advice for you. So now I've got the side piece on here, and it kind of warped here towards the end, so I had to do some patch repair and use a lot of excess plastic on the back. You can see up here there's a bunch. Just had to really load that in because I could only put about from there to there in glue, and the rest of the way I had to leave unglued and kind of just rely on soldering it together. So I put a lot of plastic inside of it, and then to even it up I'm using Bondo there, the spot glaze Bondo, which I'm not going to go through the entire process of spot glaze Bondo. I do the same exact thing as regular Bondo. Just put it on the tip of my finger and just rub it down in. Same difference. It's basically the same thing. It just takes a little bit longer to dry, and it's a little bit softer to sand. So I need to go get some more. Just about out. So I also got these connections here. And one more thing that I haven't showed you guys, and I probably won't, was I'm taking this soldering tool and having to go into this part and really kind of open these up. And then what I'm going to do to make them a little bit better looking is, after these two parts are done, I'm going to take that spot glaze and go all along these lines, all on the top and stuff. And then I'll take a Dremel tool and I'll come in here and just kind of slowly go into the Bondo, because the Bondo is softer. So if you were to take, instead of the soldering iron, if you were to take the Dremel instead of the solder and try to cut this out, it'll really tear at the plastic, and it'll actually cause it to kind of build up inside of here, and it'll be all kind of, I don't know, it's not as clean with a Dremel. The Dremel's basically to cut through it, not to make lines. So what's easier to do is if you go in here and you put this spot glaze putty all in the lines and all over here on the top, the hard plastic will give you kind of a template, so you can see the lines still. Then you take that in here and you'll basically just be cutting through the soft Bondo rather than the hard plastic. So I sanded this up here. I went ahead and used all the rest of that Bondo all over the chest plate and everything. And now what I basically did is where the lines are here, here, and here, and then some up here, because I really want this to be, I mean, this big piece right here is going to be noticeable if it's off. So I went through and put some Bondo in there. What I basically did is any low parts where it looked like there was a bubble or something, but I was sanding, and if I would have sanded it anymore, it would have went down past the line and would have made that line visible. So I just went back through with spot glaze putty, and any low areas I went through and put that spot glaze putty all in it, in the low areas, and then I'll take 220 and just lightly sand all that away. There was a big, because I wasn't able to glue the entire thing, I had to rely mostly on melting the plastic. There's a huge gap in here, so I had to go fill that in with the spot glaze. And right down here, there's a whole bunch of plastic underneath here that was melted on that I'm gonna have to even out and make it look good. That's a simple fix. I'm not gonna worry about these sides yet. But that's that. Let me side. And then the other side's printing right now. And then that'll be the chest piece. You guys will see that Thursday. Hopefully I have it primered by that time. At least the first couple coats of primer. And it's a little smoother than usual. Because in here I'm not gonna put any putty, all that part where it's green. That was what was left on my finger. That's the only reason that's got it in it. But basically, all that's red in there, and all that's green in there, isn't gonna get any putty. It's just gonna be filler primer. We're gonna see how the filler primer does. We might have to go around some of this detail, like right in here, especially down in there. And put some spot putty. Might have to. Depends. We'll see how the first couple coats go. And I still got to sand that line there, and I got to sand that line there, but the rest of it's basically sanded. I know this seems like a little jumping around and such, but here is the chest piece here, the whole full chest piece. It has a coat of filler primer on it, and if any of you guys have been following me on Instagram or watching my process videos on YouTube and stuff for some other helmets and everything, you guys know that the first coat that I ever put on of like primer or something, sometimes I just use a regular spray paint, is just to get a uniform color to see where I'm at. So you start putting this Bondo on, and you start putting glaze, filler, spot putty stuff on, and you've got the color of the filament, sometimes multiple filament like this one, and then you've got, you know, the tan of the Bondo, the red of the glaze, and then everything else. And you can get it as sanded as much as you think and then completely miss something. So I like to get one uniform color to where things just kind of stick out. And you can see this I'm not actually going to sand out or anything because it's going to be cut out. And a clear piece of Solitech PLA is going to be put inside of that at the exact same shape. So I'm not worried about that, but this shows you just how bad the filament lines were for this particular PLA. Crazy thing is I just used the filler primer on, well, not the top here. I knew that these lines were so bad it was going to need Bondo, so you can see the Bondo on that. This piece here is red, so you can still see all the lines, but they're not that bad. It dulled it down a lot. And over here you can see it's green on this side, same piece, and you can see just how thick those lines are. Both of these, one layer filler primer and one sanding, one quick wet sand. So same thing, and these lines are just gigantic, and these lines aren't bad at all. And I think that has a lot to do with the filament that I'm using. This is just a real cheap, the green was just a real cheap filament. I think it was like a $15 filament. And the red is like it's an Amazon filament, so it's between $17 and $22 or something like that. So I think I'm gonna make sure that I don't get this other filament. And I have problems with that, cheaper filaments. I like to get budget stuff on here so I can tell you guys some cheaper stuff. And if it's just not good, it's just not good. It's gonna make you do more work. And if you're fine with putting Bondo on that, I mean, it's just as strong. It's just got really big filament lines, and I don't like doing the extra work. So you can really see on the back, see all those big gigantic filament lines there on the green. Move over here to the red, and it's not big filament lines. So anyways, I know it was a huge jump from putting the Bondo on and stuff to this here, but if you've been following me for a while, it was unnecessary to kind of show you. I mean, it's just spraying on filler primer. It's just like spray paint, just spray painting stuff on. You guys saw me put the Bondo and stuff on, and I basically just did glue and then did the melting plastic, the stitching. That piece is perfect. That piece I had to fill in that end, so I'm having to do a little bit of sculpting. But anyways, I like to do a uniform color, get a uniform color on here, and then I'll come in and you can see that piece, that spot there. I'll put some Bondo putty on that. And the good thing about filler primer, the filler primer that I'll use, and I'll put a picture up, you can put it over the top of this filler primer and it doesn't mess with it like it does with paint. If you put Bondo glaze stuff over regular paint, the paint will come up and then it'll mix into it. It's not a good idea. Just don't do it. But I'll come through, find all these little spots, any area that's not smooth, and I'll just put the Bondo on it. I'll show you a helmet real quick that has this process on it. Probably come in here and do that with Bondo glaze, and then we'll polish this up. And I'm printing the back piece right now, and first piece of the back piece is printing right now. So then I'm not going to paint this any further than primer until after the back, maybe, I don't know, I always go against my own word. I always like get excited and start painting early and start doing stuff early, but I might wait, I'm gonna at least wait until the back piece is done. That way I can see how the back piece goes together, because they both join right here. So I might see if they can go together, and if I can still put it on with both of them connected together, what type of connector piece I have to put on. If I can't just permanently connect them together and still slip it on, then I gotta find a way to latch it or unlatch it and open it and all sorts of different stuff. So I'm gonna at least wait till all that's figured out. But anyways, that's it. That's where it's at.